So, hey guys, how's it going? It's been a while, and I didn't forget. It's just been a while, so we're just not going to acknowledge the fact that you've been gone for almost a week, boy. You think we forgot about that shit, boy? I mean, I didn't think you forgot. I was trying to just kind of come back into this with the new video on some anime, manga related stuff. And then I can just get back into the where you been, boy? Bought Xenoblade Chronicles X. You know that game that doesn't really end? I didn't ask for your excuses, boy! We're gonna talk about My Hero Academia.僕のヒーローアカデミア. Get the intro! Fuck! 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 So, yo, what's up guys, it's the Insane Game Freak here. Did video on One Punch Man, and it feels like I'm in the superhero age. Like, I feel like the nerds of this generation will grow up and tell their grand nerd children that this is some of the best time to be a superhero fan, because my god, the representation today was on some god tier shit. DC and Marvel having orgies all over the place. Fucking One Punch Man. Fucking Tiger and Bunny, and now you throw My Hero Academia on this bitch. And I want to talk about the series because the anime was confirmed a little while ago, and it's a series that I feel like has different levels of importance, especially depending if you're like a fan of like Bakuman. So the guy who created the series actually is 29 years old as of 2015, I believe, which means in his first series, I think the first thing he posted was back when he was like 22, 23. Which means he's been at this for a while. And I thought it was interesting because even though a lot of people know him from My Hero Academia, I know him personally for Barrage, which was the first series I ever heard of from this guy. And that series didn't last that long, so it wouldn't surprise me if you've never heard of Barrage before. It's one of those short-term series that actually got like some full-on representation in the States because it just happened to be picked for Viz Shonen Jump lineup. And it just happened not to do well for a while. So, yeah, that was a thing. Anywho, I kind of like My Hero Academia because it feels like a culmination of everything he was working towards. And ironically, for those who don't know, My Hero Academia had a one-shot back in 2008. And if you compare the one-shot with the actual current manga, it's almost what I would call, it's like, weirdly similar and different at the same time, primarily due to something as basic as, oh look, fucking the art direction is completely different. Like, I feel like, and that was kind of one of my things. I mean, Barrage, you can tell it's the same art style, but like his original Boku no Academia, like Boku no Hero Academia one shot, like you can tell he was still kind of trying to figure out his art style, and I kind of like seeing that progression through his manga and his one-shots. The dude hasn't really had that many ongoing series. He's only had 3, one of which only lasted about a year, one of which lasted less than a year, which is Barrage, and then currently My Hero Academia, which has been his best received series to the point where it's getting an anime representation, even though it technically, as of right now, I think it's only lasted a little bit longer than his first series, which was about a girl in a magical zoo with magical cursed animals and whatnot. So, to really talk about My Hero Academia, because like my introduction to it was pretty early, but I didn't really get into it. See, I was already kind of in the mindset that, first off, I got paranoid. I was reading Viz Shonen Jump when Barrage was airing, and Barrage, for lack of a better term, kind of left me in a bad paranoid route. I was like, look, My Hero Academia is out. I'm going to give it about a year, maybe a year and a half to see where it's at. If it's doing better now, if it's doing good even within that year, then cool. I'll read it. But like, I'm going to wait because the last time I read Barrage, I was with Barrage until it got canceled. I was like, man. And so I kind of casually glanced at it as I was going through it. And it's definitely pulling basic superhero vibes. It's more probably traditional superhero than something like Tiger and Bunny. Tiger and Bunny was pretty like superhero-ish, but not really superhero. And I'm like, I mean, that could work, but you know, what I really want is that traditional shit. I feel like Tiger Bunny was kind of like skip the growing up and learning about your abilities. It's not like the full-on school of extraordinary students, but it's kind of close to it. But you know, and the whole premise of My Hero Academia, for those who don't know, is that it's a world where everyone has powers. Like everybody gets powers. Everybody. It's actually to the point where it's an oddity if you don't have powers. And the interesting thing is that our main character just happens to be that character. The character who has the most like hero-like qualities, and obviously doesn't have powers. And I like the way they kind of set up the whole passing on to the new generation feel at the beginning of the series. Because one of the most well-known heroes is known as All Might. And All Might's like, woo, it's All Might, he's the greatest! And of course, the main character is the only one that actually gets to interact with him on a personal level, and you find out he's slowly dying. Well, he's sick and he's slowly dying, and it's like, oh. And so it's like, look, I'm a build. She's like, you were worthy. You're gonna have to grind. Well, I'm gonna get you to that level where you just be kicking all types of ass. And so, like the beginning, and I like how his ability is something as basic as super strength, but it's like that. It's like that overwhelming super strength where it's like, dude, he can't. The dude literally can't even use his like a full punch without breaking his arm. He will shatter himself if he just fucking just lets loose. He will destroy his body. So I like how the first few arcs is him just pretty much holding back. And then, you know, as you go from there, you kind of get introduced to more heroes and more villains. And I like the dynamic so far. I do also like the fact that the series has kind of a wide variety of like really cool abilities and really fucking goofy ones. For example, there's a dude called Tailman in the series. You think there's a punchline that there's not. It's literally Tailman. Tailman! And then I turn around and I use tail whip and I lower your defenses by like 10%. Oh shit, shit's fucking ridiculous. But I like the variety in those characters. I kind of like it's not, to me, the story in its own right isn't anything special. What kind of works for Boku no Hero Academia is the fact that it's like, it's superhero-ish, and it also has a wide cast of characters. And thank God they understand, the dude understands, you need to show off all your characters. Naruto, you need to keep switching the focus on different characters and having different ones be in the main group. You know, it's the whole, we don't want the main character to get lost in the crowd. Cool! But you still want the other characters to be relevant. I mean, like, in the first few arcs, you switch from, like, his main core group, Deku's core group. And yes, I know his name is Izuku, but I'm calling him Deku because it's a superhero name. His core group is, like, Ida and Ukuraka. Kawaii as fuck, but Kyohei, you draw beautiful girl. You got the female art form down. You also got some weird, interesting looks for him. I mean, one of the characters is a sadist. Like, I don't think that's a superpower. Her outfit is definitely a sadist. In the latest art, we got cat girls. So fuck it, I'm in a good mood. Where's my Felicia cosplay at, son? Where's my Felicia cosplay at? But I like the variety in terms of the abilities. I like how he switches around the characters. Like, as I said, the first arc, you went from... You're introduced to his main squad, Ukuraka and Ida, and then you're also, in the next one, you're right with Mineta and Asui, who is the frog girl and the perverted guy with sticky abilities, which it's just asking for hentai. You're just asking for it at that point. And then when we got to the tournament arc, you know, I got Ukuraka back, but we also we got to see Tokiyami, which is that. For some reason, Shonen Jump has a big thing about having that one random character that has like animal qualities, but like the series does nothing to explain it. Because in Bleach it was what's that dude's name? The dude who wore the mask the entire time, and then like by the end of the Soul Society arc, you break the mask, like, oh, it's a fucking dog. I don't even need to explain. One Piece does this shit all the time. One Piece does it and has no fucks about it. Naruto did it pretty much, but it was with like all the animal summons and shit. Specifically, probably, I guess you could argue Nine-Tailed Fox and and the toad summonings that he ends up being able to do later. Like, the series, like, for some reason, Shonen Jump manga just has a thing about having these really weird animals that are, like, more human than animal and, like, not giving any context behind it. I don't know how we do it, but we do it. And Tokiyami is the first crow character we've seen. And the dude has, like, a stand. He's like a weird mixture of, like, a JoJo character and, like, fucking Shikamaru from Naruto. He has, like, a shadow stand. Fuck it. I like it. It's cool. He's a cool character. And the geared chick. And then, like, in the next arc. And I like that. You swap around. You're introduced to some of the side characters haven't been fully fleshed out yet. But I like how he's showing focus to them in general. Because the one thing I always hated about series in general, but especially Shonen, is you give me this full cast of characters, and then you only focus on like 3 of them. What's the point? See, one of the reasons why people like giant casts of characters, so you have different characters you can latch onto. And yes, I have my favorites. I'm not going to announce them now. I'll wait until the anime comes out, and then I'll casually talk about them as they come up. And I like the fact that he has it as a class dynamic. It's kind of like I guess the Appeal Assassination Classroom has in a sense, where you have all these characters in like one class, and the class stays the same, so you can get to grow and learn and like each of the characters' powers. Like, and they're all kind of like interesting powers. Some of them are doofy as fuck, and some of them are actually pretty interesting and pretty intrinsic. Like, for example, we have like a dude who has the powers of electricity, but like the problem is that after a certain while, he gets retarded. And that's not me being politically incorrect. Like, he literally gets stupid after he uses it. It's as if it's like the electricity is shorting out his brain. Like, he can't use it for extended periods of time, or else he gets stupid. You have characters like, and as I said, you have characters that look ridiculously goofy. Like, there's a girl there's like this alien girl whose superhero name is Pinky. Say it again! Say it again! Oh shit! And then to kind of talk about his rival characters, which are pretty much Todoroki, who has family father issues, and Byakuya Pakago, I think is how you pronounce his name. He's the dude that he's probably one of the more famous dudes from the series because of his attitude. He's a hothead who has powers of explosions in his hands, and he's the guy who always talks about being the very best. He's like he watched the first opening of Pokemon, and for some reason just zoned in on that fucking line. I'm gonna be the very best. And the reason why I bring him up is because he's kind of a weird, interesting rival. He's like a dumbass rival in the sense of like his core setup, but like when you delve deeper into him, he gets a little bit more interesting. Like the way they explain it in the manga is like him and Deku were childhood friends. Well, Deku obviously he gets abilities later, but his entire childhood, he never had abilities. Where everyone else was getting abilities, and then Bakago got his abilities, and they were pretty broken. Even by the current timeline standards, his powers are pretty fucking ridiculous in their own right. But anyways, he has these abilities, and for some reason he gains like this ridiculous ego from it. And it's not even like done in a way where he runs around cocky and shit. It's as if like he looks at the world around him, he looks at his abilities and looks at everyone else's abilities, and then even looks at someone like Deku and goes, "My abilities are awesome. Like, I guess I was meant to be the best." Like, it was like this weird. It was like one of the weirdest manga chapters I'd ever read, because it wasn't like a simple, I'm the greatest because I can, like, it wasn't like one of those, you're in the midst, something shit happens and he uses his powers and everyone is praising him. It was just, well, I mean, people were praising him, but it was like this weird, like, you gotta read the chapter, it was just kind of like, I was meant to be this strong. And you're just kind of like, that's interesting. And then, of course, his inferiority complex to Deku comes in, is that, like, and it comes in since he was a kid, ironically. It's not like now when he's stronger and shit, like how most rivals are set up. No, his inferiority complex to Deku has been there since he was a kid. Why? Because there was this one situation where they were walking across a creek and he fell into the water. Not like a river, it was just like, it was a light pool of water, and he fell off. And all the other kids were worried, and he goes, "Oh no, I'm good." And then Deku actually climbs down and holds out his hands like, you need some help, alright? And it's like, here, take my hand. and it like fucked with him. Like for some reason that completely crushed his ego or fucked with his ego because it's like this kid who has no fucking abilities is going to jump down here, act like we're on the same level, and try to help me as if I need help from somebody who has no abilities. And then at the beginning of the series, he also helps him again. And I can't wait for this to be animated. This is probably one of the funniest non-intentional burn lines I had ever heard. Because it was like, why did you come save me? I'm not going to explain it, but like pretty much I can't pronounce his name consistently. Pikago gets into some shit, and Deku ends up helping. And his response, his whole thing was like, Deku, who told you to come over and save me? What made you think you should come over and save me? And Deku's response was the funniest fucking thing because it's such an unintentional burn. It's actually funny as hell because someone brings it up later in the manga. The dude goes, Deku's like, you look like you look like you needed. No, what was it? You look like you wanted someone to help to save you, and it's like, oh, and like I can imagine someone in the background being like, oh shit, and then people in Deku being like, I don't get it. What's the big issue? And in his face, Deku's like the whole gag they use with Deku is that Deku's like a strategist, and he also has ridiculous facial expressions, and that's because the dude got good at drawing that art style, and so he's like, oh, now I can actually get away with it. Because as I say, you look at Boku no Hero's one-shot version, his art style is almost completely different, and I like what it's evolved into, and this was over the course of what 4, 5, 6 years. He changed his art style, which is cool. I'm glad to see him progress. It's kind of like as a fan of Bakuman, I like seeing how the mangaka has changed from his early days to where he's at currently. And the dude's doing well for himself. The shit already has an anime adaptation, and the series is only about a little bit over a year old. Because it came out July 2014, and it's still going, and it's December 2015. So I hope this gets to carry on. He's only like casually introduced the villains. Like we've seen them, but we haven't. And I like their distinct styles. Like this is the other cool thing. He's drawn like all these distinct characters. It's not like the samey shit where it's like, hey man, everyone has the same face. They just have different color hair. Like I like the variation, and I kind of just wanted to talk about the series because I like how it is currently. I think it's cool, and I kind of want to promote it. And I'm probably gonna start buying the volumes for it because Boku no Hero is pretty fucking legit, and we can't have this me not buying legit things. I can't have that in my life. Yeah, that's just my quick thoughts on Boku no Hero. Sorry if it's kind of rambly, but you know, this is just things to talk about. I'll leave the link in the description where you can buy the shit digitally because I know Viz already has it up digitally. I think the first 2 volumes are already out in the States. So I'm probably going to start picking those up. I might go to Barnes & Noble after I might leave the house and go get them right now. So you could just get them online. Fuck that. If I can get them in Barnes & Noble, I'll go get them in Barnes & Noble and spend $3 more. Yes, just for people to know, never buy your shit in the stores. What I'm about to do is because of stupid bias and impatience. No one else needs to do this. Cool. Anyways, this has been the Insane Game Freak. Launch the game, play to win, and I will catch you guys later. Peace off.